We just heard that the Parliament has passed the 2012 budget. The number is now 4.8 trillion naira. That's up 5% from the 4.65 trillion proposed by the Minister of Finance. Joining me in the studio to give us his thoughts on that, and of course the news around Boko Haram as well, is Bismarck Rewane, CEO of Financial Derivatives. Thanks a lot, Bismarck, for joining us.
Yeah.
So let's start with the discussion around the budget. It's the 4.8 trillion number. It's slightly in line, if you like, with expectation. But for me, the key decision to change the benchmark from $70 per barrel to $72 per barrel is something that might be worrying the markets going into the MPC next week.
No, I don't think so. Really, since the time the central bank announced its concerns and anxiety about the benchmark price, the price of oil has moved from $110 to $126. So there's been about 11% increase in the spot price, while the actual increase in the benchmark price from 70 to 72 is only about a 1.25% increase in the benchmark. So from a fiscal consolidation
in a
perspective,
sense, reflecting the reality that oil is likely to be high this year.
And the revenue, there's a revenue surplus out there now because of this. Secondly, and more importantly, is the fact that the budget has been passed before the March 31st deadline, and also before the March 24th date of the PDP convention. So the political hurdles the fiscal hurdles have been resolved before the political hurdles can come in. I think that's a smart move.
Well, for me, I think another key point there is the MPC, because the central bank has already indicated that one thing that could make them move rates higher is fiscal expansion, which could come as a rise from moving that benchmark oil price from 70 to 75. That was the number that they were looking at then.
I think that was indicative. The reality is that I don't think that a $2 increase in the benchmark price is enough and significant enough to make that change.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Boko Haram. And we're hearing about talks, ceasefire talks.
Yes.
Conditional ceasefire is what we're hearing between the government and Boko Haram. And it really makes one think about all that happened in the Niger Delta. We eventually ended up with an amnesty program. What are your thoughts about this news?
No, this is what we call talks about peace. What you have in our initial contacts. The reality is that if you don't have any contacts, then the outcome is destructive. So what we are going to have is these talks, which will set the framework for further talks, which will set the framework for peace. So rather than have solitary assured destruction, we are probably going to have a kind of deterrent, which will mean that we will have mutually assured destruction, which will create balance in the system.
I think one thing that worries some people is the extent to which Boko Haram as an organization right now is unified. The command structure, if you like, are they able to keep, control some of those people who are attacking all across the country? There's a sense, like somebody said yesterday, there's what he's calling retail terrorism, where it's happening everywhere and it really goes beyond the command structure of the
That is the danger of disorganized resistance. There's a thin line between disorganized resistance and anarchy. So that is why it's important to engage now. And so maybe organize them so that they become positive and productive members of society. I think that would be the objective.
Indeed. All right. Quick point for you. I mean, it's obviously a big issue in Nigeria, this whole probe into the capital market. Your thoughts on what we saw today? Apparently, it sounded more like an inquisition focused on the DG of this.
That was like an 18th century lynch mob. It was, to
very
put it mildly,
focus on the issues, if you ask me.
It was pedestrian. It was to a large extent primitive. And, really, the three issues that should concern public interest. One, why is the market actually slipping, actually declining? Why is there volatility? What can be done in terms of the sanitization of the players and, the operators? And three, the actual transformation of SEC as an institution to empower it to carry out its duties. For 4 hours, all we heard was a personal attack on people and back and forth. It was so pedestrian. It was unbelievable. I was ashamed.
It's supposed to last for 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll get
I think by tomorrow,
some more concrete discussions.
By Monday, we'll get a better sense of what is happening.
Right.
First and foremost, let me tell you, there was no distinction between an investor and a depositor. A member of the House of Reps could not make that distinction. I think that was frightening.
Well, like I mentioned, we'll hopefully get some thoughts. But, let's look back now. The capital market, it's been 4 years since the markets began to tank. It hasn't really recovered. Obviously, there's been a spate of reforms across over those 4 years. Give us your thoughts. If we take stock now, what could have been done differently?
I think there's exogenous variables and endogenous variables. The exogenous variables have been resolved. The US has actually crossed the 2008 level. And quite strangely, coming back to the hearing of today, this market has been going down throughout January and February, but in the month of March, it has gone up every day consistently until the hearing of yesterday. From that point of the hearings, the market has started going down. So what is it that we want to accomplish? Markets will go up once people are sure that the profitability of the companies is sustainable and that the numbers that they are releasing have integrity.
So are you saying, do you think it's just a matter of time? Do you think that the changes that we've seen have gone far enough to get people back into this market?
Absolutely. Look, UBA came out and issued a profit warning. FCMB issued a profit warning. This means that people are able to come out and say, these are our numbers, and give a guidance as to what the future holds. And UBA issued a profit warning at 165. The stock went all the way up to 320. People have made 100% by buying into weakness. I think that this market is based on an efficient market hypothesis. As long as the information put out there has integrity, no doubt about it, we are going to witness a recovery.
Right, Bismarck, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.